Hi, Gabbionators, or Gabby's Little Monsters, or my muckers. Hello, welcome back to today's video. So, it has been let known to me that Gabbie Hanna is back on social media, but not back on social media in the sense of her posting her videos that we're aware of, her posting, those ones where she was screaming into her mirror. Or like calling the cops on herself or whatever the hell was going on back then. She's went on this podcast and the reception to it has been, for the most part, very interesting. And a lot of people were asking for my opinion of it and to watch it because we have been keeping up with Gabbie throughout the years. So we are going to get to it, and I'm very excited to see where she's at because I think she's one of the most interesting people that I have ever been aware of in my entire life. I think she is she keeps me on my toes, and I like that about her. She is a beast baby, because she's got a beast inside. Come on now. Anyway, before we get into this, please subscribe to my second channel. It'll be pinned down below. I'm daily vlogging. I think I'm almost at like 10 days or something over there daily vlogging. Please come over, come on, and subscribe, and let's get into this. It is called Finding Balance, Social Media, Creativity, and Spirituality with Gabbie Hanna. And one of the top comments is, yo, Gabbie is preaching totally inane of what God is doing through her. She is preaching the gospel. Oh my God, one of my teeth just got really sensitive. Give me a moment. Oh, there's not a pain like that. Oh, there's not a pain like that. It's God! It's God! Gabbie's coming through my root canal. Oh my God. Wow. My teeth are fucked. Alright. So, apparently, Gabbie Hanna is God. I mean, finally you guys are catching up. I've thought this for a long time. And she is preaching the gospel. Whenever I listen to her albums, I always thought it was quite similar to the gospel. So I guess people are just now catching up with speed. All right, let's get into it. So I will pin the actual link of this down below. Gonna watch this for various commentary purposes. This week, Prince has a chance to chat with Gabbie Hanna, American YouTuber, social media influencer, comedian, author, a musician. She gained fame in the mid-2010s with her Vine account, where she was known for her comedic skits and original songs. Gabbie talked about her Illuminati and spirituality theories, the message created by musicians these days through songs, and why it's important to take a break from social media and life. All right, let's get into it.
Do you think these platforms were designed to be intentionally toxic? If you could create your own platform, what would it look like? Do you feel authenticity is the way out of that? So where are we going with this? What's the outcome? We know is I'm a human being. Are you? Or are you a human doer?
Is she sucking on a pacifier? I thought she was vaping. You know what? We're so used to all these people vaping in interviews now. Gotta give it to her. If she's sucking on a pacifier, that is something new.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Breathing in that.
They're in a sauna.
So you don't sauna too much. You sit in the sun.
I just don't have a place to sauna. They have them at like I was a member at a gym that had it, but I just never
She looks pretty, doesn't she? She looks very refreshed and pretty. There's something so crooked about her that I'll always be rooting for her. No matter the really, really, really crazy and downright offensive and wrong things she does, I always keep up with her. I think she's really, really, really interesting. I think she's done a lot of really wrong things in her life. And I think that she's actually been a very nasty person to a lot of people and a very disgusting person. There's something about her that's so interesting to me. Something so captivating about her. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. She's like one of the only influencers like that for me. Like, Trisha's not like that for me. Tana is not like that for me. Gabbie, it's like, I disagree with most things she's done. I just find her fascinating. Anyway, she looks very pretty. She looks very, like, last time we saw her, she didn't, in the most respectful way, look very good. So she looks very great.
it was time to go in there because it was like, oh, I'm gonna change out of my clothes or whatever. Just like dirty.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
You're sweating a little bit already?
Hi, am I? Can you see it?
A little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be drenched by the thing.
You're already drenched. There's like a sweat bead rolling down your chest.
You know, my dad has this thing, like...
It's a really weird setup for a podcast. No
I
hate.
think I inherited it.
Yeah, that's good though.
So here we go.
Sweat is good.
Detox,
Yeah.
right?
Some people get Botox in their armpits to not sweat so much. Apparently it stops the sweat.
Jeffree Star's
Botox
ex.
in my face to not age as much.
Yeah.
But I really looked into what it is and I was like, wow, this like causes brain damage.
Does it really?
Yes.
What is Botox? What is that?
I forget what it stands for, like botulism toxin or something.
Okay.
Botulism can't be the right word.
Yeah.
It's something toxin, but
Botulism.
it's supposed to, it's for wrinkles, right? But what it does is it paralyzes the muscles in your
Right.
face. So you're not moving the muscles in your face.
Okay.
And thus, like, you see the wrinkles when you raise, or like, it just makes it so you can't move your face, basically.
She just described Botox. She was like, it's this crazy concept. She looks so different than the last time we saw her. She looks really healthy. Well,
Yeah.
I'll still get Botox.
Yeah, I guess.
I haven't got it yet.
Some definition of beauty.
Yeah.
When we met for the first time, it's really stuck in my...
Oh my god, there's nothing I hate more than being like humid and sweating. That's why today has been hell for me. It's been so hot in the UK. I can't imagine a worse podcast setup where I'm fucking sweating and hot.
If you remember, it might have just been like another day for you. But for me, just to tell you...
Someone said, the setting the red light, the way his shirt's off, I feel like I'm intruding something.
When we met the first time, I mean, I had already known about you and your content. But when we met the first time, I was going to an event.
You thought I wouldn't remember this?
I don't know. You know,
What the hell?
Some people, they just, you know.
Of course I remember. It's so weird that you thought I wouldn't. It was also so specific.
Yeah. So it was an African themed event. And so I got in this custom like outfit, like a suit jacket, some pants. But the pants, I think they were a little big or
I don't
something.
think you were wearing a shirt.
I was wearing a jacket. It was a jacket, but no shirt underneath.
Got it.
Yeah.
It wasn't Beyonce.
God, this is
Yeah,
so
it was
intimate.
It was like this huge event.
Yeah.
And you were, I don't know if we can talk about it. You were dating
I was dating a
friend of
guy.
mine. Yeah. I think we connected and you were just so compassionate and wanted to help
they
me. So when I
fuck?
get to this event in a
Well, your pants didn't fit. What did
Yeah,
you
they
want
didn't fit. And
Yeah.
I think you sold them or something.
Yeah, we stopped at a gas station and got like a little soak.
Oh, they
Couldn't
fucked.
do much with, and you were wearing them.
Yeah.
So we were in the parking lot, and I was like trying to like cinch it to do a dart, and I was like, "This is the best I can do," and I was like, "Just don't move that much."
Yeah.
And it made it to the end of the night.
I made it to the end of the
But
night.
broke right at the end.
And I was like the best dressed there. And so I always remember
Okay, turn
that.
up like
Yeah.
Jay-Z's there. But
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
This is the weirdest atmosphere of a podcast. What is going on?
Did you see at the Grammys? I just saw this clip where like it showed Jay-Z and Beyonce, and he went to cheers her, and then she was like, "No," and he was just like he was
didn't
like
see
so
that.
embarrassed. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you believe in the Illuminati theories?
The Illuminati. You know, I used to be obsessed with it.
Yeah. With them specifically though, or?
Oh, okay. So that's different, right? So my version of the Illuminati was like the government. Before
What a
the government,
jump.
Like they're above the government and they control everything. And I feel like celebrities and stuff, I don't know if they're powerful enough to get in the club. Maybe.
Celebrities?
Yeah, like
no,
Beyonce
dude,
and
absolutely. Are you
Jay-Z.
kidding? Celebrities are the rulers. Like, think about it. Like, who are you listening to? Are you listening to what like the representatives and senators are saying, or are you listening to what your favorite celebrities
Yeah,
saying?
but
They're
not,
puppets.
it's not the representatives. They're not even.
I'll always listen to
Like,
Mariah
what
Carey.
I'm talking about is like the behind the curtain.
That's Satan.
That's something. That's something. Yeah, that's something.
You know what's wild about spirituality is the bad guys believe
Isn't it crazy that like there's like a bunch of 12-year-olds out there that would rather listen to Gabby Hanna's opinion than like their state officials? The 12-year-olds being me.
so much more than the good guys, and so they utilize it so much more than the good guys. Like, there's people out here like doing spells and like rituals with like children and like bloodbaths and all this stuff, and then like the good guys are just like, that stuff's not real.
Yeah.
Which is great for them, and that's what they did through media and television and propaganda. Is they like show it on TV as like, oh, like this witch or oh, these demons, and they made it so it's like, oh no, that's a work of fiction. But all of those works of fiction are actually based on
some
something
truth in
real,
it.
and they've removed it so far. I have a theory.
What's your theory?
I think that all stories that
This is a crazy first 5 minutes. This is see what I'm talking about? There's something so captivating about her. We are 5 minutes in. I think they've hinted at the fact they fucked. She's talking about the Illuminati. She has, I think, wrongfully spelt out the word Botox. This has been 5 minutes of bliss. Of bliss.
that have ever been written. I'm talking like fairy tales, dragons, like all of this stuff. All of those things happened at a different point in time. Like maybe even before the creation of our human race, right? Like before.
I think this is going to be a fun watch, you guys. I'm going to be honest. This is 5 minutes in. I think this is going to be... Now we're talking about witches and dragons.
or maybe in between somewhere like before the flood of Genesis, like all these things. What if there were dragons and princesses and all these things? I don't believe that it just came out of nowhere. Like all these cultures talk about dragons and there were no dragons. Like, no, come on.
There's something there. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is why I got my degree in anthropology. So a lot of people don't know I went to school and I studied anthropology, which is the study of human culture across time and space, because I was fascinated with where we come from. And
sorry, yeah, I just completely didn't take in the fact that she was like, yeah, before, there was any of us, there was dragons and princesses. Two very different things.
You don't know that. So the name Prince Ea comes from Sumerian mythology. So Sumer was the first. So they said the first civilization known to man 6,000 years ago.
Oh, Zimmer. He didn't say Boomer, right? He said Zimmer.
Written language that created.
He didn't say Boomer.
They had the first
right?
Political systems.
No, he did. Zimmer, Summer,
right?
Zimmer.
And if you would have asked one of the Sumerian people, how did you know all this? How did you have all of this?
Oh, Zimmer. Oh, I heard Boomer. See, I'm getting too comfortable and cozy here. I heard Boomer. Zimmer. Okay.
This understanding right out of the Stone Age. And they would have said, well, we didn't create any of this. We got it from our living gods. And then, back in the day, I was like, well, living gods? What are you talking about? Living gods? What is that?
Simmer? See, now my chat are turning on me. Sumer. Sorry, I'm like reading people correcting me and then other people being like, this feels like a bad drug trip, this podcast. It's an ancient civilization. Oh. Sumer. Okay.
They talked about this.
Yay, I got it. Okay.
Figures, these characters called the Nephilim. I think in the Bible is called
Nephilim are a type of angels, I believe.
The Anunnaki, right? So the Nephilim, those who from heaven come down, those who gave them this knowledge. And apparently, a lot of our stories are based on like these angels, these creatures that gave us this knowledge, because a lot of the stories in the Bible come from Sumer, like the flood story. Come from Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh, I think is what it's called.
I feel like a lot of cultures have their own version of the flood story, of the flood of Genesis, which is why I believe with full confidence that it actually happened.
That a flood happened.
Everybody has their own story.
Yeah.
But if you
I'm having the best time.
It acknowledges the existence of other gods. And it says, you shall not have gods before me. No strange gods before me. I am the Lord, your God. Like, it makes it really clear. And then I always I read very thoroughly and carefully. So are you familiar with Cain and Abel?
Yeah. Of course,
so basically Cain kills Abel, right?
Yeah.
So then Cain is
Someone said I thought we were talking about dragons.
the land of Nod. And when he's talking to God, he's like, okay, but I'm scared because the other people are going to find out what I did and they're going to kill me. And he's like, no, I'm going to put a mark on you, and everybody knows not to kill Cain. So it's like, well, who are those other people? Because Cain and Abel were the first children of Adam and Eve. So who are all these people who might kill Cain? Which I don't know the answer to that. Like, maybe there's other kills, we don't know. But when I think about it in terms of other civilizations, and God had a chosen people, which means there were other people. And then, do you know the book of Enoch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was removed from the Bible. But what all happened in that time where God was like, I gotta wipe these people out. It's that bad. And I like this part where, when I first read it, God says, I'm basically gonna blot out everything that I've done. I'm sorry that I made them. It's wow, God's sorry that he made us. And then I heard somebody else talking about it, and they said, no, he's genuinely remorseful because he sees how much pain and suffering is happening. He's like, look what I've created. I'm sorry that I've done this to you guys. Wipes them out, starts over with Noah. This one part that I just have been thinking about a lot lately is when, you know how he almost wiped us out again? Do you know this where he was talking to Moses? And he was like, so basically Moses brings the people out of Egypt.
He was talking to Trisha's husband? What? That's crazy. Oh my God. Wait, Trisha was literally saying that her next guest on Thursday is a male celebrity that everyone knows. She's having Jesus on. Jesus is going on the Just Trish podcast.
And he's God does all these miracles. And he's saves the people of Egypt, right? And he's just believe me. And they're we're thirsty. And we're okay, well, here's water pouring out of the rocks. We're hungry. And there's literally bread falling from the sky. And he just shows them all these miracles, and the people are still just not getting it. So before he could even get the 10 Commandments down Mount Sinai, the Egyptians had already built a false god and were worshiping it. So then Moses goes back up the hill and he's like, yo, God, we're so sorry, whatever. And then God was like, I'm going to wipe you all out again. I'm going to burn you all. And then Moses says to God, Lord, repent of this evil. Are you kidding me? And then God was like, you're right. And he repented. It's damn, we almost got wiped out again. And God saved us by the goodness of just him. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
And now here we are. We still suck. We're so bad.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I mean, I think we all have that redemption in us as well,
Yeah.
For you, I know your story, you've been in the space of social media, of creation. You wear many hats. You're poet, singer, dancer, art, so many different things. It's this beautiful being here to create. And I think creativity is that divine energy. And you really embody that. I want to ask you. So before we started talking, we spoke about the platforms and how you've. I think you did.
What did y'all talk about before you came on here? Because I don't know what the energy is here. What did you guys all talk about before you came on here? Because the energy's, I don't. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Deleted everything.
Deleted all your.
I'm trying
Instagram
to work up the strength to actually delete.
Okay.
But I can't figure out if that's what I'm supposed to do or not. Specifically TikTok. Because I feel like TikTok is just like the cesspool, the worst of the worst.
So let me ask you this: do you think these platforms were designed to be intentionally toxic, or is it something that once people get on them, the toxicity is from us?
Good question.
It's definitely us, but I think that certain platforms, I think specifically TikTok, and you never know the intention of a creator or like the intention of what was behind it. It's just about where is it going and what is being allowed, I think is more so it. Whereas like so much stuff is being pushed on TikTok that realistically could be controlled better, but it really is just up to us wanting to consume basically trash. Because what it did, and I feel like Andy Warhol kind of like predicted this, where he was like, everybody's gonna have their 15 minutes of fame. And also in the Bible, it says something like they'll be so foolish they'll idolize themselves, like they'll make themselves gods. And now what are we doing? We're looking at our cell phone selfie camera instead of mirrors. Like we're not spending any time in the mirror. We're just looking at ourselves. We're performing. So now everything we do, every moment that we should just be sitting and really reflecting. I think there's a lot of power in sitting in front of the mirror, especially just like naked, like you in the mirror, looking at yourself, really working on your alignment. Like, wow, like my hips are kind of crooked. Wow, my arms are literally built different from holding my phone, stretching, enjoying it, and like enjoying the body, the vessel that you were given. Like if you spend a lot of naked time just in front of the mirror with yourself, you get to know yourself, a lot of time to think. You start actually appreciating your body in a way where you want to take care of it and stretch and work out and be a healthier version of yourself. But now it's just like, well, no, let me perform instead. So now like the selfie camera is a mirror, and it's like you never have this time to just be by yourself.
You said something I saw on the TikTok. You said the selfie camera was different from the mirror.
Same idea. Yeah, it's just like, well, you see yourself, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, are you seeing yourself and spending time with yourself, or are you doing it for others? You know what I mean? And then you like kind of get a warped view of yourself too. Not only are you like, the longer you look at yourself scientifically, you start to see yourself differently, it starts morphing, but also like you're looking at a backwards version of yourself because the selfie camera's flipped. You're also like,
But first, let me take a selfie. When Jason was at the table, I kept on seeing him look at me when he was with that other girl. Do you think he was doing that just to make me... This is what I think about when I look in the mirror. Do you think he was doing that just to make me jealous? Because he was totally texting me all last night. And I don't know if it's a booty call or not. But first, let me take a selfie. Wait, pause. Jason just like my selfie. What a creep. Is that guy sleeping over there? Yeah, the one with the girl with no shoes on. That girl is such a fake model. Ugh, I need to go home. No, wait. Let me take another selfie. This is me whenever I look in the mirror. I'm really enjoying this so far.
seeing maybe like a different angle of yourself, where if it's like depending on the lens length, like it's just such a distorted view of reality, and we're not spending time because there's always this idea that what you film is going to be seen by other people. So who's authentic anymore? Wow. Sitting naked in front of the mirror, whole different, whole different feel.
There, everything is there. Wow.
I think that they say that the eyes are the window to the soul, right?
Yeah.
I believe there's so much truth to so many things that they've passed down, but they've watered down language so much that words actually don't mean anything. I think a great example is like when we look at banks.
Someone's saying, is she talking about what they did off camera? Guys, calm down. I know they're providing us with this really weird sexual tension, but let's not comment on it.
Right? Because like banks and money is the root of all evil. So it's like we used to have
bank. Oh, banks.
We used to have trust, and now it's like these trusts. We used to build bonds, but you have to buy bonds. It's like all these things where like
shit. She's writing another poetry book right now.
Less about value and you know what I mean?
Pink, get dude.
Linguistics.
It's all linguistics because they wanted to confuse our language, and back to the Bible, like God literally scattered our language and confused our language when we started getting too tough. And then I think it's in Genesis where they tried to build a tower.
Babel.
Yeah, and that's why they say like you're babbling when you're a baby. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you?
Is he taking notes?
Is there any
He is.
I think that Instagram is the most like quick and efficient for short term because I was a Viner, you know, so I like making short term form content. I don't love the like UI of it as much. Like TikTok's UI is the best. I feel like because you can just like if you want to shoot a dance video, it's in it. But like Instagram has sort of a lag and like the editing is kind of tough. But I think that's the most algorithmically at least easy to find and create your explore page and has a definitely different audience towards art. For sure.
Let me ask you this might be a tough question. You might need to take some days to figure it out. If you could create your own platform, what would it look like?
Oh, I wouldn't even.
What would be the ideal platform for you to be on?
I don't think any of us were meant to be on a platform in that way. I don't think that any of us were meant to be like famous. I don't think any of us were supposed to have followers. I don't think any of us were supposed to idolize ourselves in that way.
But wasn't the full model of Jesus to like idolize him? So one could argue that Jesus was famous. Listen, I have the most religious fucking nana you will ever meet. You will you will ever meet. I have probably more knowledge of Jesus Christ himself and his Jesus Christus than anyone, because she forced me to fucking read the Bible back to front, back to front, back to front, all these different things. When I wanted to be fucking listening to Selena Gomez songs and watching Disney Channel, she brought me to fucking Sunday school and church and all this. Me and Gabrielle Hanna could sit down and have a very in-depth conversation about Jesus Christus. But the problem with this is the argument of we're not supposed to be famous and then relating it back to the Bible. The full thing is that everyone followed God's word and Jesus' word, which means in 2023, you know, God is like Charlie D'Amelio or like Addison Rae, you know what I mean? Like God is someone who like got lucky in the algorithm and is like really I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying this to be not sensitive. Please, again, I had to spend so many of my years dedicated to this. You have no idea, and that's the reason I feel I can speak so freely of it, because against my will, I had to learn about this shit. But, you know, God was someone who, like, got a little head start in the, like, social media algorithms in that sense. You know what I mean?
Only are we idolizing ourselves, but we're making ourselves false idols. Like if you're following me and you're copying me, like every moment you're looking at me and listening to me, you're not talking to God. You're not listening to God.
But why would we be following God and not following you? You know what I mean? I thought no one was supposed to be famous, so God shouldn't be famous. Ooh, I wish they had a third mic in here and I would be sitting down talking with them. Oh, it'd be so good. I'd be like, but what about this?
You know what I mean? There's like a difference. Obviously, like we're supposed to teach and grow and have fun and have joy and all these things.
There's a balance, right? You can be a mentor, a guide, but when you start getting into
don't say mentor,
you know, like,
Johnny.
dangerous grounds.
Yeah, when it comes to being famous, like what's your intention? Like even sometimes if I'm watching like a sermon or a spiritual podcast or something, and then like right before they get into the important part, by the way, I just dropped new merch. I'm like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, but it's okay to have merch and like we are supposed to, you know, work and make something that's valuable. But I think there's just a fine line. Like I just went to a church I'd never been to with a friend yesterday, and I was just like, oh wow, this is demonic. And it's like one of the biggest churches in LA. And I'm like, this is just this person, half of the sermon was him selling himself and like making himself like the focus of it and throwing, you know what I mean? It's just, you can get so lost. And if
you
you're,
go, wow, yeah.
But if it was his service, then he has every right.
Only means one or more people in relation to the divine. It got attributed to a building later.
Yeah, exactly that. The church is the people. All of us together are the church. And then the building is supposed to be a part of the community. So we are the church. When you talk about the church, it is us. And then people are like, oh, but our institution. And they're all wrong. Like lately I've been like trying to find like, okay, so where do I belong in this? I know what I believe. I believe the living word of God. I believe the Bible. But like, where does that leave me in an actual institution? And they're all wrong. I've yet to find one that doesn't have at least one key factor like mortally incorrect.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to play a game with you.
Fun.
Quick game. I'm in social. I've been doing it for so long. You've been doing social for so long. There's this thing that happens a lot. It's called imposter syndrome. And so I want to read to you.
Who's the imposter? Anyone play Among Us? Love that game. They're going to play Among Us right now. That's what they're going to do.
Some statements from people, and I want you to guess who they might be. Right?
Are they influencers?
They're based on they're celebrities, so you know them for sure. They're not influencers. They're like top 8, you know. Okay. Why would anyone want to see me again in a movie? I don't know how to act anyway.
Trisha Paytas.
Who would want to see me in a movie? Is it Jennifer Lawrence?
Meryl Streep.
Wow, she's one of the best actresses of all time.
Close.
Yeah, wow.
Here's the next one. I still feel sometimes that I'd like to be as good as so-and-so actor. I see some actors work and I'll never get there. I wish I could.
Taddy Westbrook.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Damn, close again.
I love Tom Hanks. He's so good.
Here's the last one.
The Terminal, dude. Come on.
Oh, great film. Here's the last one. I've written 11 books, but each time I think, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out. What do you think, Seth?
Shane Dawson.
J.K. Rowling.
Maya Angelou.
Damn. 3 very close ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to ask you, do you face imposter syndrome, or have you faced it? And if so, what advice would you give to people who are dealing with that?
Dude, yes, absolutely. Now that I look back and I'm like, oh, was it imposter syndrome or was it actually something inside
You
me?
said Shane too? See.
and that you
It was
actually
the
don't
books.
deserve this because you are not the person you think you are, kind of thing. But yeah, I think especially maybe like 2 or 3 years ago when I felt like I was kind of being uplifted and not knowing where I was supposed to go next, I still didn't feel any semblance of success. And I had to keep reminding myself, like, you've done all of these things.
She looks
You've accumulated
pretty,
all of
doesn't
these
she?
things. What is it that's going to actually make you feel okay? And it was because everything that I'd accumulated, I didn't feel like I deserved. It's like, oh, I placed here on this chart, but it's only because like I had YouTube followers. And it's like, oh, I placed here on this list, but it's only because I had YouTube followers. It's like, well, why did I get those YouTube followers? But then I'm like, well, I didn't deserve it because there's so many people who are like, oh, it's just like dumb kids who are following you, which, you know, there's some validity to that. Like, not that they're dumb, but like it's easy to grab an impressionable audience, especially if you're like loud enough or different enough or quirky enough or whatever. So yeah, I definitely faced it. I think the advice would be, as long as you're working for something that genuinely matters and try to not lead with yourself and your fame and your glory, then there is no imposter syndrome. So it's like, who are you working for? Yourself? You're gonna die. So like, why are you working for yourself?
That's it. I feel the same way. I think it's really about disappearing into the act, into the service. Because yeah, we all, this body is.
Wait, are they like saying that like their life has no purpose? Wait, what? She basically just said, from my understanding, that her life has no purpose because she's going to die anyway. And he went, like moaning into the mic. What? That's crazy. Girl.
Temporary. Nobody's gonna remember us in 100 years, 200 years. But when you can kind of disappear into the act and realize it's not about you, it's to serve them, it's to help uplift. That helped me.
You have a podcast.
From the ego point, because that's the spirit, that's the being side. From the ego side, which I think is also important, make a list of your accomplishments and read them. Because it's so easy for the mind to go negative, like, oh, I've never done anything, I can't do. But when you see that list in the morning, I've actually done this, I've achieved that. It could be anything. I tell people, write a list of 10 things you accomplished and look at them every day. That can really, because a lot of people, I'm into spirituality and I'm about dissolving the ego. But I think before we can dissolve the ego, some people might need an ego boost. They might need to get a confidence boost in who they are.
I think confidence is a better word for it because ego is inherently, I feel like, destructive, no matter like where you slice it. And I think it's also like, what are your accomplishments that you're writing down? Because is it like, oh, I got these grades or I got this award or whatever it is? Or is it like, wow, like my family has this generational curse, like hoarding or whatever it is. And it's like, I broke that. It's like, I woke up today and like, I spent a long time organizing this space. And like, that's a really big accomplishment. So I think it's about that. You know what I mean?
The deep stuff.
Yeah, redefine success. What is success to you? Is it money? Is it fame? At what point does that end? Is it a certain award you think you're going to get and all of a sudden it's going to feel better? Because probably not. It's going to be like, are you happy? It sounds so corny, but like as somebody who had, and I mean, still can manage a lot, you know what I mean? That's not where the happiness comes from. The happiness came from when I was like, oh, this isn't actually at all what I want. I don't want the attention of all these people. I actually really prefer privacy and alone time. I don't like hustle culture. I don't like the grind. It's bad for you. It's really poisonous, actually.
100%.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I mean, there's like little things here and there that they're saying that I agree with, but then it's just like filled in with like so much like other stuff.
I feel good. It's a little hot.
It's a little warm.
It's a
All
little
right, let's step out. We'll get some air. I'm sweating up a storm over here.
You're wildly sweaty.
Yeah, you know what? I told you, man. My dad gave me this gene. And I just, here I am. What you were saying earlier, I think when you get to it, you said you're grounded so much.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to a place where you are grounded, you're just untouched by things. Like I've tried to come to a point in my life where I can say thank you to whatever happens. You know, they say if a dog is chasing, you call for it. Come here.
Wow.
So it's
Put
like,
them away.
Get off immediately.
everything you fear, the negativity, the evil, whatever it is, if you just give it a hug.
Girl, put them away.
Like nothing's really good or bad in terms of experience, and it's all lessons. So if you think about
Oh, it is a pacifier. Sorry, I couldn't see past the fact that she has her fucking dog's out. It is a pacifier. I thought she was vaping, and I don't know which one is less cool. If she was vaping or sucking on a pacifier. I don't know. I don't know which one. Oh, it's a ring pop? Oh, that's cool, actually.
like your creator's a dad, right? It's like, think about like the way a parent would raise you. You have all these rules that you don't necessarily understand. And at the time, it feels like you're being punished, but you're not. It's like, oh, you prayed for strength. Let me give you a situation that's gonna make you strong.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I like his robe.
Perfect too. Like if you really have the faith that every single aspect of your life, every little detail was perfectly designed for you, you start looking at stuff differently. Like, why did that happen?
I thought she got rid of the neck tattoo.
You're like, okay, something about this, like my life's not going good right now. Where am I wrong? Oh, I'm not as generous as I should be. Oh, I haven't been as grateful as I should be. I've been complaining a lot. I've been like squabbling over dumb things. And then all of a sudden when you start addressing those things, you'll start feeling like that grace over you again. And like the weight will start to lift. And then you remember, oh, this is like a fraction of my life. Like this is such a small piece of my soul's existence that it doesn't matter. Like what's going to happen to me, you know?
That mindset that all is well and unfolding as it should, which I like to say, you said it's everything is perfect, is very rare, especially in kind of the industry that we come from. When I meet people, they're much different than they are on camera. On camera, a lot of influencers are like, hey, you too, hey, how you doing? It's a great day. And then you meet them behind the scenes and their energy is just miserable. It's just off.
Yeah.
Do you have experience with that?
Yeah, and I think that I was that probably. No, not quite like that. Like I think I was always a little bit more cognizant than that. But it just comes from a place of A, hustle culture, B, not being authentic to yourself because you never gave yourself time to be authentic to yourself, and just this idea of like that constant look at me, look at me, look at me. I have to be this person that's likable. Whereas realistically, like in real life, it's actually more likable to be a little bit more chill. You know what I mean? Like imagine that personality on camera, but that's exhausting to hold that up all the time. Where you're like, because I was that person, like, hey guys, you're never gonna believe what's happened. And it's like so much energy, and it's just not natural.
So you feel authenticity is the way out.
Who knows the clip of Gabbie Hanna where she's like, "Hey guys, welcome back to my story time. Today I'm gonna tell you the story of when my mother made my brother impregnate me," and then it cuts to her intro. How does she start that one? "Hi guys, welcome back to my story time. Today I'm going to tell you the time when my mother forced my brother to impregnate me." And then it cuts to her intro. And it was a story time she did about her mother making her brother impregnate her. She told this entire story time and then was like, "Oh, it was a dream." It was crazy. I wonder if I can find it.
I'm going to tell you about the time my parents tried to impregnate me with my brother.
The intro.
I'm going to tell you about the time my parents tried to impregnate me with my brother.
What? I never watched the video, but the intro is just everyone's saying it was a dream. So was the entire video her like just saying it and then being like it was a dream? YouTube was lawless.
I'm going to tell you about the time my parents tried to impregnate me with my brother. Humility and authenticity and realizing that like you're a servant not to be served, I think changes a lot too.
That's beautiful. Well said. This whole idea of you have to be—
That is beautiful.
You have to be perfect. Not everything is perfect, but you have to get everything right and look exactly shapely and all this. It is toxic. It's
abusive.
Yeah. Self-abusive and unhealthy. It seems like it's a cultural thing and it's unfair. I believe in artistic integrity. And I come from the hip hop world. And I know you're a big hip hop fan too. And when I listen to certain rappers speak about drugs, one side of it, the glorification of it, and they don't talk about how these drugs destroyed their communities or how their best friend got addicted and is in rehab.
Yeah.
Is that artistic integrity? It's better to show the whole story, tell the whole story, right? As an artist. What do you feel about that?
It's honesty, but it's also like, where's your messaging? Like if you were in the drug trade or you were taking drugs, like, are you talking about it in a way where it's like, popped a molly, I'm sweating? Or are you talking about it in the way of like, this is what this has done? You know what I mean? Like it's not bringing any actual truth or help. And I feel like nobody cares about the messaging at all of music anymore. And I feel like the more and more I see it, I'm like, we're literally degenerates. Like this is so bad at this point. Like there's no level of like modesty or decency. Like I know like it sounds so wild, but like there's really not. Like I look at some of the even just cover art for singles. I'm like, this is literally porn by definition. Like this is porn, dude. Like how are you putting this out there? And like, can you rap, especially female rappers? Like it's the only thing that they can speak about is sex because that's all that people are listening to. But like, let me hear one of these.
Oh, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. That is so annoying. Girl, shut the fuck up. All women can rap with sex. Shut up. Isn't it mostly male rappers that sing about that and it's the sexualization of women that they do that? They don't get any backlash for that. So what if a woman wants to rap about sex and fucking own it, as Lisa Rinna would say, own it, own it. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Real Housewives. But whenever male rappers do it about female rappers and objectify them, it's not a problem, Gabbie. But whenever female rappers can own it, it's a problem. Girl, please. Please.
talented females, say something real. Let's talk about like women's issues instead of talking about like how much sex you're having, because like little girls don't need to be hearing that. And like, oh, I'm not a role model. Yes, you are. Period. Whether you're famous or not, you are a role model. As a woman who's an adult, you are a role model. If you're 5 years old and you have a sister who's 2 years old,
Why did she literally not reference the fact that men do this as well? She's just been like, and then women are the problem, and then women are
a role model. If you're an aunt, you're a role model, like no matter what.
my uncles.
I feel like.
So you think that the solution to this is for the artists, or really everybody, to recognize that they do indeed have influence?
Everyone has influence.
Why'd she only focus on women
The
there?
artist's fault. It's the record label. They're pushing this. They're selecting artists to talk about this, so they actually need to change. But you're saying maybe it's everybody. We all need to.
It's everybody. It's just like everybody's victims of it. Like the female rappers who are rapping those things, they're victims of it too. It's not like they came out of the gates and they're like, I want to fuck up a bunch of young girls' minds. No, their minds were fucked up too. All our minds are fucked up because we're just constantly being inundated with sex.
So why is it a woman taking control of her narrative and her body and her image and singing about what she wants to sing about? Why is that being a bad role model and manipulation and evil and you're traumatized? But when a male rapper objectifies women, and a lot of male rappers talk about doing really nasty things to women as well, but that's not getting mentioned by her.
Like the way that the government controls us is by hyper-sexualizing us at a young age. They're amping up our sex drive. Literally our hormones are completely like blinding our judgment. We're selling the thing that is the most instantly gratifying, which is sex. And like our entire lives are changing. Like that's why we see little girls on TikTok. It's like, that's not what I looked like when I was 13. Exactly. Because like it was like this slow progression. I feel like it started with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, like that group of pop stars, and maybe Madonna, like to some degree. I think pop music in general was when it was just like, how far can we push this envelope? Like if you remember when Britney first came out, like just her taking off her suit and her hat and revealing like,
Gabbie, So, Gabbie, why aren't you addressing the fact that when Britney Spears was on Disney Channel as a fucking child, she was being sexualized by men? So if Britney Spears at the age of 18 wants to come out and endorse her own sexuality and be her own woman, she has every fucking right to do that, considering that the entire years that she was kids, men on the media were doing it for her. Why is that not a problem? Why is that not a problem?
like a nude colored outfit underneath, everybody was like, this is so scandalous. And I was like, we're literally, the VMAs and girls are like in thongs. You know what I mean? Maybe I just sound like a boomer, but like.
Well, no, I think it's an objective fact. It's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, where are we going with this? What's the outcome?
Who knows? Honestly, like, is there going to be a place where the pendulum's going to swing? I do think so. I think it's going to start with like one topic. And then once people start fighting against that topic, it's going to swing the other way. Like, I feel like everything we do, not just in America, but I feel like people in general, people want to pick a team. And usually it's pretty binary. Like, are you conservative or are you liberal? And right now I feel like for a while, mainstream media, for example, has been very liberal. So at some point that pendulum is going to swing. And all of a sudden, like all the people who didn't feel like they could voice an opinion, all of a sudden it's going to be so raging that it's going to be like, okay, now we're extreme side of conservatism. Like if we all just kind of, none of it even makes sense. Like if you look at politics, like it was the Southern Democratic Republicans, like it was one thing, the Democratic Republicans. And then at some point it got split to the Democrats and the Republicans. But we're supposed to be a republic. And then we're like, well, we're a democracy. We're not, we're a republic. Like we actually been like super warned against creating a democracy because bottom line, period, people aren't that smart. We're dumb. So like if you're saying like, oh, well, the majority rules of human beings, to be honest, like we shouldn't have that responsibility. Like that's why we have our like representatives like do it for us. We're selfish and we're small-minded, and like a lot of times people aren't even really thinking about what they think.
We're small-minded after what you just said.
That they want. Basically, people don't understand what politics are. It's basically about the amount of government control that you want in your life. Conservatives think that you should have as little governmental control as possible, and liberal side or Democratic side thinks that there should be a lot more government control. But then the things that they both want don't actually correlate with what they're voting for, if that makes sense. I don't know if that made sense at all, actually.
Yeah, you can
Not really. I'm gonna be honest, girl.
The word democracy actually doesn't come up one time in the Constitution. We are a republic. A lot of people don't.
And for the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A pure democracy, as I think some president said, is two wolves and a sheep decided on what's for dinner.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You're so freaking well informed on all these things.
I've had a lot of alone time.
What is it?
I've had a lot of alone time.
Okay, so so tell me, let's get into
well
that.
informed.
So alone time, how important is that in the development of you, of
Crucial.
a healthy Gabbie? Yeah.
I think it's crucial for a healthy everyone. And I've been very literally blessed in that I could experience healthy alone time because I never really had to go into the workforce and work around other people. I've always been sort of a lone wolf. Like even in college, I like had to.
Thank God for the public. Gabbie Hanna was never out working with y'all.
I never had a roommate in college because I just always really needed that alone time.
What'd you study in college?
Economics, psychology, and communications.
Okay.
Yeah. But when you have other people around, like if you're talking to somebody else, you're not talking to yourself. You're not talking to yourself. You're not talking to God. You're not talking to God. Where are you getting your advice? Who are you listening to? You know what I mean? But when you start like really just thinking about things, we have, the encyclopedia at our fingertips. I just Google a lot. I'm like, what do I actually feel about this? And if I see like a controversial topic, I'm like, well, let me actually look into the details.
Curious.
Yeah. And then I just learn a lot about it. Like, again, back to the words thing, for example, like a nation, according to, when I look at the Bible specifically, I'm looking at, this is a history book, like not just a religious text or like, but it's a history book of early civilization and humans' relationship with God, our creator, the God most high, right? And like Israel was a person. It's like, whoa, so what does that mean? He says, I will make you a great nation. That's a family. So when you look down at like, so Israel's like the top ancestor. He says, I'll multiply your descendants across the earth. It's like, so you make Israel a great nation. The family of Israel is one nation. So when we say like one nation under God, indivisible, he's saying one family under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Treat your brothers and your sisters as yourself. Like that's like the main commandment when you look at it, is treat your neighbor as yourself, love your neighbor. And if we would all treat each other like brothers and sisters, like even over your blood brothers and sisters, like you are the same to me as my mom is to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like even Jesus said that. They're like, what, was not your mother and your brothers outside of the temple? And he goes, here are my mother and my brothers, like in this room. I just wish people like actually taught, like the school system is so corrupt, dude. I'm a conspiracy theorist, but it's all real.
Yeah, well, that's one way to that I think our society has dismissed potentially valid arguments, is to call it a conspiracy theorist. But I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies that have been proven. And I mean, I think we just have to open our eyes and look. Critical thinking isn't really taught in the school.
Or just open our ears to gabbie hanna, apparently.
System, right? They teach you what to think, not how to think.
Yeah, the indoctrination in schools right now is crazy. Like, why are you even talking about this in school type of thing? Like, shouldn't you be learning math? Like, can you guys read after the pandemic? Like, what are we talking about in school, dude?
One thing actually, you brought
What does she mean there?
the Book of Enoch.
What does she mean with that? What does she mean? They're teaching what in school? Is she making a comment about like the liberal movement where they're talking to kids about, oh, the woke agenda? Is that what she's talking about? Girl, that's clearly what that reads as. Why are we teaching our kids about this? Our kids need to learn math. Okay, so Gabbie took a couple of years out and turned into fucking raging Republican, is it? Allegedly, I'm not saying it. I mean, this is what she's sounding like. I mean, she can do what she wants, but I mean, what a 180, right? Considering her entire persona and audience was people within the woke agenda. I think it's so easy for someone to jump on the, why are they talking about that in schools? Protect our kids. Whenever the biggest pedophiles and the biggest problems around kids are the ones in fucking power. And the ones who are calling for the LGBT narrative and the woke agenda to stop. They're the ones who are fucking predators, who are pedophiles, who are groomers, who are focused on that. I think it's so ironic for gabbie hanna to talk about, they shouldn't be talking about that in schools. They should be talking about maths. I think it's so ironic for her to continue to push that agenda when LGBTQ plus people are not pedophiles and predators and groomers. But actually, what 35 minutes of this podcast has been, which is talking about the church, has the biggest population of pedophiles and predators with priests and shit. So I think it's incredibly ironic that something she's writing and dying for so hard right now is one of the biggest contributors to the numbers of pedophiles and predators and groomers and people who are dangerous to kids. Should we be teaching that to kids, Gabbie, or does that not fit into the little agenda here?
Sauna. You ever heard of the Nag Hammadi Gospels? No, you should look into that. So there's been a lot of books that have been taken out of the Bible, like the Gospel of Judas. I think it's the Gospel of Thomas. Are you familiar with these?
I'm not familiar with them. My understanding of the Bible is it's basically
very little
added, right? Together, and then at one point they were canonized of what is real and what's not. So the ones that were taken out, I haven't even finished reading the Bible yet, so I haven't like gone into other things. And I know some of them, like, I mean, it's hard to say why some were taken out. Some of them were like had Jesus like murdering kids or something. So like obviously that was taken out.
Yeah. So and then he brought him back to life.
Isn't that part of the agenda you're preaching now, though?
I actually don't even know the story of that. I just know that
that's
like,
in the books that I'm talking about. These stories that show the gaps.
But that's fine, apparently.
that you don't find in the traditional Bible. They actually tell these stories, and they were written in Coptic. I think they've been authenticated by Bible scholars. But you don't hear too many people speak about them because they challenge many beliefs. It's so important, and you're a very curious person. And I think that's what made you who you are. That's what gave you the success, is your willingness to learn, to listen, not only to what's outside, but also that inner voice. And you listen to that inner voice. And I think it was 2019, you took a break from social media.
Who knows? I take a break all the time. I think that was probably the longest or the first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on another one right now though.
Okay. And tell me, what are you hoping to discover in this break?
This is just a season of rest for me, because even from like 2019 to 2022, I feel like I was telling myself that I was taking a break, but I still always had these like looming projects. Like I put 2 albums out last year in my year of a break, right? And like there's always just something where like, oh, well, what am I? Am I an author? Am I a painter? Am I a singer? Like last year I did my first shows with my music, where I was like, let me see if this is what I want to be doing. And then I feel like I kind of exhausted all of the things that I knew I needed to try to feel at peace. And then this year I want to legitimately just rest and like spend a lot of time just in meditation and prayer, working on my health, working on organization, trying to be as minimal as possible, because I've accumulated so much stuff just out of not giving myself the time to actually space it out. And like, you know what I mean? I just want to exist as a person. Like we're supposed to just exist, dude. Like look at your cats, look at your dogs, look at animals. They just chill. And if you can get yourself to just sit, no TV, no music.
I mean, great, but how privileged is that? Girl, whenever you were working, you didn't do much. In the most respectful way. In the most respectful way. You know what I mean? I think it's such a privileged thing to say, especially during a recession. Girl, when you were doing YouTube, all you had to do every day was do a couple paintings and scream on TikTok for 2 hours. And that was the 9 to 5 done. That was it, you know what I mean? Maybe go into the studio and scream into the mic a little bit. Like, that's the work day for you. So I mean, it's a very privileged thing. I mean, I'm glad for you that you're having this time to, you know, do nothing and exist as a cat and a dog. But I mean, your life is not and has never been like any real normal person. So I think it's a very privileged statement.
Just be like, wow, I'm in a body right now. It's so tight.
What you're speaking about, it resonates deeply with me. But I don't think some people will understand.
Really?
I think we live in such a world where it's so logic-driven, work-driven, ambition-driven.
A world that's logic-driven.
I took a break last year, too.
Okay.
To Portugal, bought a farm. So my time of solitude allowed me to discover that, indeed, there is no purpose. The only purpose is to be.
We're human beings, not human doings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like sit in that one for a minute.
You like that one? You like that one? Yeah, it's true. It's true. And we know what it is to be a human. Okay, your job, this and that, this is what you do, your family. But do we know what it's like to sit in beingness? We know I'm a human being. Are you? Or are you a human doer? Right?
Yeah.
That beingness. And I really wish everybody could get into touch. How do we get in touch with that? What are some of your
I think
avenues?
the first step is to get off social media.
Please don't tell
it. Eats so much of your time. It eats so much of your mental space.
You are doing a podcast for social media right now, and this other guy has a podcast on social media.
They're basically fighting for our attention all the time. Like every social media platform.
Ironic.
What was the documentary that was on Netflix that was about
social
dilemma? Social dilemma. Yeah, I can only watch a few minutes of that because it was so anxiety provoking for me. But it was like they're literally being warned by the people they had on their staff. Like, this is dangerous. We need to like put some type of warning or something. And then the executives just fire them because they want to capitalize on your time. And it is demonic, honestly. It is supernatural. Like, it goes beyond corporate greed, because that level of corporate greed, there is a puppet master to that, where it's like, let's pull these people so far away from their spirituality. Let's pull these people so far away from their truth, because the truth of the universe is you have a soul. And what is going to happen to your soul at the end of time? If
you won't break my soul. 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 And I'm telling everybody.
Life, pouring your soul into yourself.
See, I don't believe that.
I do.
I feel like I'm at an afters right now. I feel like I've went to the club and I've went home with strangers and I'm just listening to them talk.
Like, you are soul in a human vessel.
So who are you?
You are
See,
your
if you
soul.
say you have a soul, then that means you identify as the ego.
That's interesting.
If you say you are a soul, then you identify as spirit.
But you believe that spirit continues on, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's timeless.
Exactly. So what do you believe happens to our soul and our spirit after we die?
The big questions, Gabbie. Oh, man, wow. Well, you mean after the body dies?
After the body dies, yeah.
I think we go back to wherever we came from.
Where'd we come from?
I don't know if it's a place. I think it's just love. I don't think it can be understood with.
Is it a place of logic?
You know, like trying to teach your dog quantum mechanics. Just,
Or me,
you know,
quantum mechanics.
It's just the brain just isn't structured to understand it.
Yeah.
And I think humans, we our egos lead us, and it's been beautiful. We've had a lot of discoveries from our curiosity, but to think that we can understand the depths of spirit, the depths of this universe, no.
No, we definitely never could. We're definitely given.
I feel like I've taken an edible
metaphors
too.
to
Holy
help us
shit.
understand. Like to me, like that's what the family unit is. Is like this is apparent to you, but also you all belong to me. Like we all belong to a greater source. That's what I believe.
You won't break my soul.
Is that we have a creator.
You
that
won't
loves
break
us,
my
like, eternally,
soul.
and when you pour your
You
faith
won't
into
break
it,
my
the thing that
soul.
like I
And
feel
I'm
like when you hear people talk about faith, it's
telling
like the people who get it it's because they've had the experience, and the people who don't, it's because they haven't tried. And the only way to really say like no, this is real is like try for yourself. Like take the Bible.
Ishmisha gumi bear. Ishmisha
Ishmisha
gumi bear. Ishmisha gumi 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 bear. Ishmisha gumi bear.
Everything makes sense. Like when you're really like, okay, let me like dig into this. What does it actually say? And then you start to realize like the more you read it, like no, this isn't a work of fiction because it's not entertaining. Like there's this one section of Exodus, which I think is the second book of the Bible, that's just this blueprints basically to build a tabernacle, and it's so specific. It's pages and pages long. Like the curtains will be bound by this type of metal and this many cubits by this many cubits, and then you'll have this type of metal on here, and this is how you'll build the Ark of the Covenant. And then later, when they build it, they repeat the entire thing. And they're like, so this is what they did, because what they were actually doing, it wasn't somebody writing a story that they wanted people to read and sell. It was somebody actually taking notes and being like, this is what happened. Like I'm the note taker of the history of the world, and I have to do it as specifically as possible. And here it is. So things like that made me believe it. I already believed it, but I don't know. I just think it's worth trying because then when you like really sit into that reality of like, okay, so what they said is real. I am a soul in a human body. I have the spirit breathed into me. That is what life is like. You know what I mean? Like what's the difference between a corpse and a living person? Spirit. But that's not your soul. Spirit and soul are different, right? So then when your soul leaves, where does it go? We are given hints. We're kind of told like what happens to it. And when you like live with that and like understand.
Can we ask her about Joy or Sapphire or
That's so
something?
beautiful. Like I'm performing for an audience of one now. Like I don't care about anybody else's opinion.
Girl, you've been
Who cares?
performing for an audience of one for a very long time. We saw how many people downloaded that album. There's a cat hair in my nose.
You know what I mean?
Wow. Did you grow up Christian?
So I grew up Catholic,
Catholic,
and
okay.
then kind of drifted away, and then just had some like really wild supernatural experiences that I was seeking, but I was like looking for answers, and they came. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, like absolutely Christian, but I see the corruption of the Catholic Church as well. I'd love to see some type of reform in all of the churches because the first church was a Catholic church.
She's
and then when
onto
they started doing
something.
Stuff that was whack, which they prophesied would do. They broke off, and then when that branch did some stuff that was whack, they broke off. So it's like each church that came from.
Did some stuff that was whack? Girl, I'm not gonna allow you to be like, get that gay shit out of our classrooms. President Trump, we need you, President Trump. President Trump, please. I can't even see the flag, President Trump. I'm not gonna allow you to do that. And then be like, the church did some goofy stuff. Girl, who knows that video? President Trump. Where is it? I'm so tired that I'm just being so delusional. I'm gonna regret this entire video. President Trump. What's the video? President Trump. Wow, what's it called? President Trump crying woman. Is this her? Where is she? Is that her?
You want? If you see this, please save us.
Video that I said, my Lord, I've got to play this on the show. Roll it!
President Trump, if you see this, please save us. I don't even see our American flag anymore. Biden's talking with some kind of crazy flag. This is America.
This is literally Gabbie Hanna.
Please, President Trump. Please, I hope you have a plan. But God, please save us. Save us from the devil, please. Y'all, I'm about to have a panic attack.
President Trump.
the first church of Christ has like changed a little, and then they all became corrupted in their own way. So there is no like, we are the church, like, you know what I mean? But there is no institution that has it all right. That's why Psalm 118:8 says, it is better to put your faith in the Lord than to trust man. And if you read the Bible, you're like, wow, these people don't even know what they're teaching. You know what I mean?
Like you said, it's all about experiencing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think so many of us can fall into.
I know their feet are wrinkly as fuck now.
And they miss it.
Being in water all this time.
In the heart, they know it, but they don't fully walk it. They're not fully there. You know, Jesus didn't have a Bible, right? Muhammad didn't have a Quran. Like,
no, Jesus
Buddha.
had a Bible. He was actually very obsessed with the Bible. He knew it
What was
better
his
than
Bible?
He was so
Torah,
obsessed.
which is the Hebrew Bible. So the Old Testament is the Hebrew Bible, and then the New Testament is when the prophecy was fulfilled through Jesus Christ. So he was obsessed with the Bible. Like, he was a Jew, and he was like a hardcore Jew.
Okay.
And he was like, you follow the laws of these. He knew them better than anybody. He stood up to the Pharisees who were incorrectly teaching the Torah. And then like here we are years later, like incorrectly teaching the Bible and coming from a very hypocritical standpoint in a lot of situations. But there was a Bible and he followed it closely.
I feel that truth has no label.
She asked him herself.
It's inside all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I consider the truth to be love.
The way I see it is like all around the world, right? This was before we have TV, before we have internet. Like different people were given kind of this gift of revelation, like Buddha, or I don't know what Buddha is. I think, is that a real person?
Yeah, there was a few Buddhas. The first one, Gautama Buddha. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And like Gandhi, for example.
Buddha just means the awakened one. So we're all can be Buddha.
Yeah. And his principles, or the principles of Buddhism, basically are be kind to your neighbor and like be a good person, basically. Yeah, I think that's God's law that's written in all of our hearts is like be a good person and like do those things. But when you talk
he's
about
taking
that,
a note.
that love of God feeling versus knowing.
Or he's doing a diddle.
Feeling versus knowing.
Like you said, like you can feel it in your heart, or you can know it in your head. But you
Yeah.
can feel it in
Okay.
your
I
heart.
see. Yeah. The intellectual is.
Someone said, when I read the title, Gabbie Hanna's back, I did not expect this. Me neither. Someone said he's playing tic-tac-toe with himself. President Trump!
In a way, you know, it's the deepest things in life can't be understood with the mind. The mind is just a tool.
Yeah.
It's practical, but when you can embody love, that's a different level.
I feel like our brains are like the communication between us and the divine, not even necessarily God, because it can be a lot of different things. Like when we have our thoughts, who put those there? We didn't write them. We can't create our thoughts. We can't write them. So somebody's writing our thoughts for us. And if you can select who's writing your thoughts, right? And really focus it to only want the thoughts that are right for you. Like you can have, like if you're driving down the car or down the street, I hope I don't get into a car accident. Oh, I hope my car doesn't blow up. What if somebody jumps out in the front of the road? And then this one's like, oh, but I'm safe. And then you just kind of put that one right in the middle. And you just keep selecting the right thoughts over and over. And if you
Did you hear him just go,
and like living a just good lifestyle in general and ask for those thoughts to change? Like that's what they say, we create our reality. We are the author of our own story, right? And like change your thoughts, change your world. That's real. Because everything we think is prayer. All of our thoughts are prayer. There's always somebody listening.
He did it again. He went,
who are you talking to? I feel like that's what led me back to like, okay.
He keeps going, wow. Wow.
Well, who's that? So then I started talking to God Most High, whoever you are. I don't know who you are exactly, but I know for a fact that there's layers, there's aliens, and there's angels, and there's demons, and
Are there?
gods, and
There's
themselves,
princesses. You said there were
God Most High,
princesses.
That's who I'm talking to. Help me find the answers. And I just spent like a year asking for answers, and I was still kind of like rejecting Jesus. Not rejecting him, but I was just like, I don't really get this. Like, I feel like I have God, and that's enough. And then I just kept getting inundated with like so much Jesus all of a sudden. And the fear with Jesus is like, if you do accept it and it's
She was getting bombarded with Jesus. Post notifications were on whether she wanted it or not. She was getting those TikTok live notifications. Jesus is live now. Jesus has posted a new Instagram reel. She was bombarded.
wrong, then you're doing the worst thing you can do, which is idolizing and worshiping a false god, right? You're saying that this man is God when he's not. So then I just kept talking to God Most High, and I trust God. Of course. Why wouldn't I? He's my creator. He's my dad, right? So I was like, you tell me, I'm open to you. And then he just kept putting Jesus in my face. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to try this. I'm going to pray to Jesus. Like how like Christians would be like, accept Jesus into your heart.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do that. And I was like, God, I trust you. If this is wrong, please don't, be mad that I'm talking to a false god. And that difference you said of intellectually knowing it and feeling it in your heart, that's Jesus. Like when you accept that, and it's like, and then you read the story in hindsight, because like I did that before I knew the story. It's like, oh, that's literally why Jesus died, was to give us direct access to God. I don't know that you go to hell if you don't believe in Jesus, because even the Bible says you can blaspheme the Son of Man, which is Jesus. The only unforgivable sin is if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, which is God. So like, he knows that a lot of people are going to reject Jesus. And a lot of people are going to reject Jesus because their religion told them to. Like if you're a Muslim and you're growing up your whole life saying like, do not, do not, do not. I believe, and I like to think that Jesus is a lot more, or God is a lot more merciful and just than that.
It should be.
And so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, yeah. He knows your heart.
100%. 100%. Gabbie, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
God, for real.
What's your first thought in the morning?
Thank you for waking me up, God. Every single morning. Oh, I'm still alive. What a miracle. That's crazy. I don't have to be here at all.
And your last thought before you go to sleep?
Thanks, God. Hope I wake you. Hope I see you in the morning. There's always gratitude, morning and night. Morning and night.
So important.
You're coming back from a break.
Yeah.
What made you take the break?
What made me take the
Your
break?
burnout.
I think anybody who's serious about life has to pause, has to reevaluate.
But did you have a breaking point where it's just like, this is it?
A breaking point? Probably. I think things just get annoying, you know? I think, and there's a difference between a good idea and a God idea. Good ideas are, man, you're
a good idea or a God idea?
You're creating content, good ideas, you're doing this, you're doing that. But the God idea is like, are you doing that thing that you're meant to do here? Or are you compromising? Are you selling out? You're selling out in a good way. You're a do-gooder.
Yeah.
But are you really doing that thing that you're supposed to do? And for me, it's about questioning that.
Yeah.
What else does he post?
I think it's so important to surrender to that. So I took almost a year off to contemplate. And
What did you surrender to?
Well, I think when I stopped that moment, stopped the train on the tracks, you know, start saying no to, I want you to do this, speak here, do that, do this opportunity.
I wonder what made Gabbie Hanna go on this podcast, because like these podcasts are getting like 96 views, 89 views, 800 views, 500 views, 300, 100 views, 700 views, 500, 200 views, 150 views. This is very like niche. I wonder how she obviously was very passionate to go on it, which is interesting. Good for her.
Stopping that and really just surrendering to the true calling, I think is super important.
Do you know the true calling yet?
Well, I think what I realized was something you got to do and accomplish and achieve, and a trophy you're supposed to hold up. There's a beauty in the beingness in this moment. I realized.
I mean, I really do love the studio. I think it's beautiful.
Search for peace, understanding. Why am I here? What is this? And I realized there is no, as they say, enlightened retirement. It's really all about this moment. How fully can you be in this moment without the filter, without the barrier of thought?
God made her do
Do
it.
this, or should
Thank
be
you
doing
for
that?
letting me know.
But how fully can you surrender to the now? Right? All the books are, you know, the Eckhart Tolle book, The Power of Now. Ram Dass, Harvard
I
professor.
love
named
the
Richard
book, The
Alpert,
Power
wrote a
of
book in the
Now.
1970s. It was called Be Here Now. What are they pointing to? It's this presence, this gift of the now.
Are you afraid of dying?
Not if I'm fully in the present.
As we're talking about the present, I'm like, but what about death though?
That's the future. The only thing.
Or maybe it's not. You know?
Well, the thought is of death, right? It's like the only thing scary about death is the thought about it.
You don't ever think about what's next?
I do think about life after death, and I also think about life before death. And I think so many people forget that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think death is, it's like taking off a tight shoe.
Interesting. Elaborate. Just feels better, like a release,
Yeah.
like freedom.
I think we go, like I said, we go home. We go back to where we came from.
Yeah.
You know, in our culture, death's this sad thing.
What's your culture? Like,
No, I mean, in the Western culture, we got funerals, everybody's crying. But, you know, in certain Eastern cultures, it's a party, it's a celebration. You've graduated.
I think we have some celebration of life here too, depending on, I guess, who the person was, how they lived their life, who's there left to celebrate in their wake, I guess.
What are we talking about right now?
I think
Princesses or
that's just one of
something?
those inherent things. It's about living now because you really don't know.
When they say at the end of your life, if you meet God, are you able to say, I used everything you gave me?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to give everything. I want to die and disappoint the graveyard. I want to give everything. I want to die empty, fully. Say everything, give everything, all the knowledge that I've accumulated, the experiences. How can I help somebody live a more peaceful life on this plane?
Are you still going to do the content that you were doing before?
I want to immerse people deeper into the practices. So the content is great. It's amazing. But now it's really about how can I create a practice for an individual for them to really transform?
What's the practice look like?
Well, listen, what is a life? A life consists of a mind, a body,
Stop
and a spirit.
asking
Right?
questions.
So what are the best practices for the mind, for our mental health? How do we stay in with an attitude of gratitude, which is the best mindset to be in? The body, how should we be moving our bodies? You're good at this, right? Dancing, walking, strength training. What should we be putting into our bodies to
serving.
maintain a high vibration? Because really, it's only linguistically that we split up the mind and the body. Really, they're one.
Yeah.
Right.
People a lot of times will say, like, fix your mind, like, as the mental, and then it'll fix your physical. I actually think it's the other way. I find that when you're physically healthy and, like, focusing on that, your mind will fall into place. Because so much of it is, like, first of all, chemical, but also, like,
Wow.
the mirror, you feel about yourself. Like, when you can stand up out of bed or, like,
Wait.
jog across the street.
Okay, while she's talking, imagine I'm also here during the filming of it as well. This is what I would do. I would feed off their energy and I'd be like this.
Get winded and not have pain in your back or your legs.
Yes.
It all just feels so good.
Come on.
Sometimes when I'm
Yeah.
stretching, I can, like, feel the tendons or, like, the muscles
Wow.
around my glutes or my hips or, like, my
Yes.
thighs, especially, like, my knees.
Wow.
When you stretch them and you get to a certain
Yes.
point and you're getting into all the
Wow.
tiny ones, it's like euphoric.
Of course,
So literally, like, it's not
yes.
pain anymore. It's just
I
like,
agree.
it's like
Wow.
release that you didn't even know you needed.
Yes, wow.
Yoga?
Yoga's cool. My favorite thing to do is it's called bar method, and it's basically like ballerina training, but without the choreography. And it's like a lot of stretching and small repetitive movement.
Yes.
And when I'm home, dude, sometimes I just need to take a day or two to just do nothing but like dance in front of my mirror, stretch, like
Yes.
massage, lotion,
Okay.
like exfoliate.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
Yep.
So good.
It's just loving the body, not being in love. love with the body, but love in this form.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
treating it as, you know, I tell people, if God was to inhabit your body, what would you feed yourself?
God doesn't inhabit our body.
Well, here's what I'm saying. If God was to inhabit your body, what would you put in it? Would you put McDonald's in it? Would you put Burger King? Would you put, you know, soda? Would you put drugs? Would you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or would you try to put the most living?
Why does every conversation like this center around privilege? Every conversation like this where these people hold themselves to this high standard stem from fucking privilege. For someone, come back into focus. Hello. For someone to sit here and be like, if I'm being given this gift from fucking God, my body, you know, why would I stuff it with McDonald's? Because for a majority of people living, McDonald's is the only affordable food where it's that or nothing. And when you say, when I get to those pearly gates and he asks me, have I used every day? And I say, yes, I took 2 weeks of a retreat to think about my life. What about the people fucking grinding with 3 jobs a day? They didn't have much time for themselves. What, is God going to be like, you didn't use your time wisely? These conversations are so fucking annoying because they're not only centered on privilege, but these people are so out of touch and they talk about themselves as if they're the most relatable, down-to-earth people when they're having a conversation that is strictly based on them being better, wealthier, more adept, more carefree than the majority of the public. That's the only reason these conversations happen. That's the only reason I'm having absolutely no problem making fun of both of them and having no problem making fun of this, because it's centered in privilege. It's so ironic. I can't even believe that they're not seeing the hypocrisy. I can't even believe that they're not seeing how fucking just out of touch both of them are being. I have no problem making fun of this, because how dare you sit here and talk about, because think of the amount of people who have 3 jobs a day, 4 jobs a day, 5 jobs a day, where they literally have no time for themselves. Number one, what are they going to tell God? That they didn't use their time because they were busy working in an economy that if you don't make a certain amount of money, that you're literally going to starve to death or not have a house over you. Or furthermore, if you can only afford fast food, oh, fuck me, you're not putting good food into your temple. God is crying at night and Jesus is weeping. Holy fuck. These conversations are centered on these rich, out-of-touch, privileged people, and it pisses me off, and I have no fucking problem ripping into this bullshit, because how dare you talk about that you're finally finding your purpose, and in the process talking about everyone will catch up to finding their progress and their purpose in life, and you're talking about how hard your lives are whenever all you fucking do is sit down once a week and film a podcast, or if you're Gabbie Hanna, go on TikTok probably 2 times a fucking year. Your lives are not the exact fucking same as everyone else. So when you're talking and you're preaching about Jesus and Mary and the fucking donkey and all of them, for a majority of the viewers who are watching this, their lives do not cater or look anything like your lives look, and you're using God's word to make them feel shitty about their lives because they are putting McDonald's in their bodies. They are having to spend all their time working. You're not doing that, so you're literally using God's word to speak against people who actually care about God. Neither of these people care about God, by the way. They're using this sentiment to create a higher ground for themselves, so I guess in some way that's spiritual. But don't dare flip this around on people who are actually religious and are going to have to listen to this and be like, oh shit, everything they're saying not to do, I have to do it to survive. So I have no problem making fun of this, because this is so out of touch. But let's continue. We have 15 more minutes, which is actually like 10 because I have it on like fast speed. Now it's even faster.
High vibrational foods in it to make
But that's what the Holy Spirit is, though. Like, that's in us. Like, that is literally God in our body as a temple. Like, when you look at if you believe in any type of like supernatural or, because I feel like you do, right? So like you look at all these different stories and like religions and things like that. It's like, let me like focus in on this one. It's basically like, here's the summary of it. God created this human race. Like, he calls us this human race, right? And then the people just like kept sucking over and over. And then he kept planning these ways to redeem people. And then there was all these animal sacrifices, and that's how you atone. And then he gave us this ultimate sacrifice. So when they say like the Holy Spirit or the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, it's Trinity, right? It's like God put the Holy Spirit, which is him, in a human body. And then when he died, that was the gift of giving the Holy Spirit to everybody. So it's basically like God lives in Jesus, right? And like nobody else had it.
Even people who eat McDonald's?
Wow, he's really in there. And like when you talk to the Holy Spirit inside of you, you'll hear it speak. You'll feel it speak. Like your entire life will start changing. Like I started dressing different. Like I hear a lot of like testimonies from like born again Christians, and they'll be like, no, I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna have to start like dressing different, like acting different, stop partying, all this stuff. It's not even really like that. Just like it literally changes what you want for yourself. Like I'm like, oh, I want to be healthier. I want to be kinder. I want to be more generous. Because it's literally transforming you from the inside out.
Boom, boom, boom. I hear people in a relationship.
Boom,
say,
boom, boom.
Sacrifice for this and that with my girl or I'm like, you sacrificed. You should want to do it.
Exactly.
There's no it's like, it's who you are. That's how I feel what you're saying. You know, it just changes. It's not a regimen. It's not something that, you know, a militaristic formula that you have to now follow and do correctly. You start to breathe it and you do it naturally.
Not the Venga Boys.
Smell beautiful. It just is that.
Yeah. It's basically like our bodies are like robot bodies, right? Because we're soul in this body. Like we're not the same. We're not attached in some way. So like we have this manual. It's basically like, here's how to treat your body for the best results. Like if you have a car and you don't change the oil and all these things, like yeah, you can still drive it, but do you want it to last as long as possible? Do you want it to run the best it can? Do you want it to be comfortable and clean? Like, okay, here's this set of rules that I'm gonna put in front of you. And all these words are so like antiquated and heavy, but when I started really looking at them, like, okay, what is a sin, right? Like you hear sin and it's like, oh God, here we go. But it's like, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat on your wife, don't be jealous of your neighbors, treat others the way you want to be treated. And then like in that, there's things that people don't really want to shy with. Like I chose to be celibate at this point in my life. And it wasn't because like I'm afraid I'm gonna go to hell about, like it's nothing about that. It was just like, oh, my body is genuinely a temple. And the reason that was put in place is because God doesn't want me to have a soul tie with someone who's not meant for me. So if somebody commit to me, let's build that union together. Let me start with a friendship without the pressure of sex and things like that, because that's God's design. Not like, I don't want you to have fun. How many relationships did I stay into for way too long because we were having sex? So it was like, oh, we can just like hang out here for a while. Whereas like if sex wasn't a part of the equation, it would just be like, oh, we aren't compatible and we don't like each other. You know what I mean? So when you start looking at like these rules that were like, for me, in my opinion, set by the creator of our bodies, our machines, it's like you can follow it or you don't. But how long do you want your machine to run?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, the formula's, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? I think the formula's out there.
Just be good, dude.
Yeah. It's not about having this Christmas list of what you want in your partner to be, to do, to look like, this height, this same complexion. But it's about holding that vibration.
Being whole.
Don't
like,
want a lot for Christmas.
I want to be 50% myself.
There is just one thing I
You get a
need.
relationship, like, still take care of yourself. You gotta be eating the same, working out the same, on your mind the same, like meditating the same, taking care of mental health the same, doing all that stuff. Take care of yourself too. Like, don't drop yourself there just because you're caring for someone else. Some people lose their alone time.
I just want you for my own.
Together.
Yeah.
Have you ever dated like an influencer, somebody who's like doing some of the things?
No, actually.
No?
No.
Okay.
I always dated a civilian.
Civilians, yeah, it's good. That's good. Need some balance, you know?
Yeah.
Need some
Have
balance.
you?
Yeah. It was good because I think it was somebody who they knew that their calling was bigger than the influencer stuff. You know?
When you decided to take a break, did you start to feel like you didn't exist at any point?
From what perspective? Like online or in like me didn't exist? Like in the dream?
Honestly, I like personally for a minute, it was like, am I real? Do I exist? Because so much of my life was
Okay, I see what
online.
you're saying.
And I was like I was also isolated in my house. You know what I mean? And, like you moved to Portugal. So like you're not online doing your thing. You're detached from your family and your friends. I'm assuming living alone in Portugal outside your garden.
Yeah, just my 4 girlfriend cats.
So did you ever like start feeling like, damn, I really don't exist?
No, because my identity was never tied to that.
Man, God bless you for that, because mine was.
Yeah,
Big time.
Yeah, that's what the platforms were.
Ooh, Gabby didn't get the answer she wanted there. She was like, and you thought like this? And he went, no. And she went, oh.
One more response, but it's tough. But I never wanted that because your identity, when it gets taken away, it can create a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
When you identify with something that's limited, you're going to suffer. But when you identify as soul, how can you suffer?
Wow. Are you like kind of scared to get back into work?
No, I try to look at it as a game now. Like I'm trying to crack the code to the algorithms and figure out how I can do it.
I don't think Jesus would be happy about that. You're looking at YouTube as a game. Thou shall not gamble. Thou shall not game on YouTube. Thou shall not do podcasts with Gabbie Hanna. He wrote it for a reason.
But make a positive footprint.
Yeah, that's such a good point. After that entire spiel they did about work, he's literally saying that his work is a game to him. Privilege. Thou shall not eat McDonald's. He did say that.
Same type of viewership and feedback as you were, or did it kind of put a in it?
I love you. No, so it's interesting because like I'm actually growing now.
Good.
And it's because now I'm like trying to figure out how the algorithm works, how to create the content, right? How to structure it.
You can act bad, or you can be good. You can be from privilege.
Well, partially, but I was actually digging into the analytics and attention because it was like what I wanted to do. And then
Jesus
I just
loves
this is
me.
so detrimental to my
This
health.
I know.
It's a dangerous game.
It is a dangerous
He
game.
was
I think when I do
with
ultimately
me
come
from
back,
the
because
start.
I do have a lot to say.
He
I
was
have a lot to
always
say
in my
that, like,
heart.
dude, I was so blessed with
Though I
such a platform.
strayed
I've been
far,
so many ways to
here
kind of
you
slip things
are,
ahead.
Jesus,
And
my
I think it's important. Like, I
superstar.
want everything to be in vain.
I love you,
But I just kind of do so different. Like, really take a year
Jesus.
to edit everything that
I
I've been
love
filming.
you,
I've been voice memos, I've been painting, like, hours
Jesus.
and I was just like, at this point, I gotta
You
sit down
give me
and, like, do it. And have
reason.
someone else take care of it.
You give me hope. Jesus, never let me go. I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. You give me reason. You give me hope. Jesus never let me go. Wait. There was a time I overdosed. But not from the what was it? But not from the Holy no, it was not from the well, but not from the really? No one knows it? Okay, what? I love you, Jesus.
No, because it's not going to make you
I
happy.
love
It's not going to
you,
make you more confident. Especially like you don't know the results of it. It could actually look worse. You get injections and you like it. They're going to start fading or shifting.
Oh, we're back to Botox.
You're like, oh, how much longer until? And
Oh, we're back to the
It's
mirror.
just a never-ending cycle. Where like if you can't look in the mirror and be like, no, I'm awesome. I'm beautiful. I look super cool. I'm literally a sculptor. If you go to a museum and look at the art, not all of it's conventionally beautiful. Some of it's really weird. Some of it's really interesting. There's different shapes. Like nature
Even
makes
if we
it
eat
right.
McDonald's?
So why are we as people thinking like this body that was created and perfectly designed, like we're a perfect mix, 50 and 50 of a woman and a man, and it created us. You know what I mean? That's so dope.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
Yeah, literally.
Your past, your background.
That's
you've always
crazy.
Spoken your truth at that level. It's come from a place, I think, of vulnerability and authenticity.
I don't know about that.
Grow. So you might.
But she
regret
said she
things
did
that you
everything
said,
for
but you said them
attention.
with an energy, I think that was from your heart, from your level of consciousness
Yeah.
at that time. So you couldn't have said anything else.
But to that point, that's why some people should shut the hell up. Like that's why like people who are not mentally, spiritually mature or educated like shouldn't be on the internet putting out their most vulnerable moments and speaking from a place of authority and influence before they should have authority and influence.
Yeah.
Like give me that platform back again right now and let me like really use it.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because at the time I just wasn't ready for everything that was coming my way.
Wow.
Our world loves redemption stories. You look at, I've mentioned Maya Angelou before. I mean, if she would have stopped her journey at like 25, we would have known her as a prostitute, nothing more. Malcolm X, if you stopped him at 25, he would have been a drug dealer. But it's the evolution that people go through. Yeah, everyone can be redeemed, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you.
Is he relating
And the energy from which you create.
that to
I'm excited too.
Gabbie
I'm excited to see where it
Hanna?
goes and resting and taking my time and just like getting out of that mindset, especially with social media of like, wait a minute, here's all the trends. If I don't get on it now, nah, dude. That's the beauty of just like having faith in God and a plan. It's just like if it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen, and I don't have to try that hard because it is literally all out of my control. So just let it go.
Let it go. Let it be. I asked this question.
let
to
it
every guest.
go. Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Let it go.
It comes on, and that question is: if you could wave a magic wand on the earth,
And you're watching Disney Channel.
when you wake up tomorrow, whatever you wish for would be how it is.
For this podcast to be
Just soften
over.
everybody's heart and to just be able to rest and want to seek the truth in the same way that I've had to say.
To be able to rest? Girl, you've told us that all you've done is rest. I want to switch lives with you. She says that all she wants in life, if she had one wish for the entire world, what she would want would be for her to rest. Girl, you just said that you spent the last 2 years resting. That is a long ass nap.
Basically just reset the earth in a way where there isn't this constant desire for things.
She's saying that if she rests, the earth resets, because maybe she's true.
Even if you're not someone who's like, oh, I want this type of car, this type of bag. Like, I was never that girl. Like, I was never the designer bag girl. But I still felt like I needed things. Like, oh, I need this type of house, and then I need to put the furniture in the house. And there's just always things. Where it's like, can you just like hang out with your family? Like, I just want healing for everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
Wow.
For people to discover that they're not their thoughts, because that's space of awareness. Because thoughts are the reason for all our problems.
I like to say we're not our worst thoughts. We're our best ideas.
And like you said, if you can choose, if you can, once you detach from a thought and you can stand in the witness consciousness and choose.
This podcast has aged me.
Accept.
The best way to do that is journaling. Because if you're just rapid fire writing down all your thoughts, eventually you'll start
Peter Rabbit?
And the more you correct yourself on paper, there is actually a scientific thing between seeing what you're writing visually and thinking, but then also just like almost correcting your work, where like you might correct a misspelling, but it's like you, instead of complaining, you stop yourself and you're like, what can I write here instead? Oh, let me write something more positive. Because once you're like taking the effort
There's
to like
mindfulness.
slip, exactly,
Yeah.
and your thoughts in real life will change, like when you're not journaling.
Gabbie Hanna, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Lovely discussion. I didn't expect it to go into the spiritual and the religious realm.
That's all I talk about.
I think it's important, and I think everybody, because you've achieved so much.
Yeah,
at
I wish you continued talking about fucking dragons and Beyonce and
a young
princesses.
age. You've had the money, the followers, the whatever, the materials. Now
Had.
you recognize that there's something deeper that is
Because she doesn't have it
really
anymore.
going to give you that fulfillment.
Pride is the most dangerous thing.
Are you telling me that if Gabbie Hanna was still not at her peak, that she wouldn't be in this spiritual God journey where she's anti-social media? There's a reason every couple years she tries having a big revival on social media.
humanity. I feel like those were my two things. Like, look what it did. It wrecked my whole life. Like,
But you needed it.
I needed it, exactly.
Jim Carrey said, I wish everybody could get rich and famous so they could realize that won't make them happy.
And now I just want to use my influence trying to like push people into a direction of like, don't follow in those footsteps, like follow in the ones I'm in now, because this is the one that's going to bring you contentment. Like, we're all given this very perfectly designed journey that like somebody told me once, God makes wonders of the blunders. I was like, I love that.
Girl, not everyone can follow your teachings of resting all day.
He already knows everything. We have our own free will. He gives us the choice, knowing whether or not we're going to reject it or like accept it or what we're going to do, and makes our plan. So like if you mess up, he already set you up for the redemption. So there is no mistake too big to fix, because there was already that path was like hard for you. When I look back at my life, like all of my biggest, most embarrassing mistakes are leading to something so much better and greater, or already have. And it's like, he already knew that I was going to do that.
Already. Beautiful. Where can people follow your journey?
Well, I'm not on social media, but they still exist.
Okay.
At Gabbie Hanna, Gabbie.
What age am I? Can someone fact check? Because I feel like I've aged a couple years. I wasn't tired when I started filming this, but I'm exhausted now. I didn't love it. I find it incredibly... The most ironic thing is I find it incredibly disrespectful. I find it incredibly insensitive. I thought it was incredibly hierarchy. I thought it was incredibly rude, actually. Tone deaf, yeah. I think it weaponized religion, which is exactly the criticism that I give religion. And it's also the criticism that I'll give spirituality. This is not, do I identify with religion? No. Do I identify with spirituality? No. Do I fall somewhere in the middle? Yes. So I fall somewhere in the middle, so I can criticize both of them. They weaponized both of them. They weaponized spirituality a little bit, but they weaponized religion to like a disgusting amount. And I can't believe that they're not aware of how privileged they came across and how none of their points, and I mean none of their points, landed at all. What is going on? Can you hear that? Anyway, thought it was out of touch. I thought it was going to end better than what it did. I thought we were going somewhere fun, but we weren't. I wish we continued talking about dragons and princesses and Beyonce, but we didn't. There's that. Gabbie Hanna's back, and there's that.